Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Yana Ivannikova and today we are painting lace-like shadows. I will wait a bit so that you can confirm that you can hear and you can see me well. Just write something or just put a heart when I know that everything is according to the plan, and we will start. So actually the photo from today's stream is chosen not by me, but it is chosen by you, by my followers, because I've created poll on Instagram and you voted exactly for this photo. This is an amazing place in Spain, in Guadalajara. I will show you the photo. This one. Yeah, super cool place. We've been to an art plein air there in September last year. So it was in art retreat on an ancient villa. This May we're going again there. So I assume that there will be more photos from that place, and we will paint Spain more often. So this photo was the winner to paint today, but there were more who wanted to paint also the flowers, so the bush, not only with green leaves but also with flowers. But actually the topic with the flowers is a bit more sophisticated, because you have two colors like green and red, or green and pink, and we need just a bit more time to paint. This tutorial you can find on my Patreon. Today we are going to focus on green, and as usually we will start with a pencil drawing. It's also available on my Patreon for free. You can download it. It's easier than to make a pencil drawing. We'll discuss the composition, why exactly this this composition I've chosen for today, and also we'll talk about wet on wet technique and a lot about lace-like shadows and about typical mistakes when we paint lace-like shadows. So this is the plan for today. I will switch to another camera now and we will start. So I think you can see my table, and when I say about with green and red, I mean this tutorial. It's a bit more advanced, requires a bit more time. But today we are going to paint something like this. This is a very quick sketch, like thumbnail from this photo. I hope you will be painting with me now this plot, but if not, you know that it's already a tradition to save this for my channel, and you can replay as many times as you want. Unfortunately, one of my students couldn't join today because she is sick. Gets well soon, Luba. But it's always available to paint later on. That's why don't worry. Perhaps several words about the materials. As usually I use 100% cotton paper. That's important I just cut it from big pieces of paper. It's super simple. Then my brushes, I'm going to use big brush for watering the paper. My main brush that I'm doing almost everything. This is Escoda Perla number 12, and I'm going to use some thin brush. It can be schlepper, it can be any thin brush for details. So watering the paper, painting all the stuff, and one thin brush. The paints that I'm going to use are mostly, as usually, from brand Rosa or Daniel Smith. And if we look on the photo, we will see that for our main hero I'm going to use several greens. One green is light green, which is olive green. Yeah, these leaves, this is olive, and some darker green for darker leaves. For shadows, sometimes this is not enough. That's why I'm adding a bit of indigo to get very dark green shadow. So this is for greenish part. For the pot, I'm going to use, it can be either burnt sienna, either quinacridone sienna, so it should be something warm. Lunar earth as well, even apple rose, something very warm that reminds us this plot. For the shadows of this pot, I will add some cooler color. I love lavender. That's why I will add it. If you don't have lavender, don't worry, you can mix it yourself out of cool red, blue, and white. Blue is ultramarine blue, so you can get almost the same hue for the shadows. Sometimes the shadow is not dark enough. This way I'm adding neutral tint. That's also very dark color. If you have, it's super cool. Or some other dark color, but please don't use black. With black we can get a bit of how to say, dirty hues. That's why please avoid black. This place is very light. It can be ochre, it can be again apple, yellow on apple rose, but very, very light. This black place is very, it looks actually black, but it's not. So I'm going to add something dark again, neutral tint or lunar violet. Lunar violet is a granulation color and it can create a bit of interesting hues there. So our task is also not to cover everything with black, but make it diverse, because we know that everything influences on the objects around, and these reflexes change even black color. So I'm not going to make this, yeah, so it's not my point of interest, right? And now let's talk about the colors of this lace shadow. So when you look just in general, you see that it's gray. It's true, it's gray, and gray I usually mix out of lavender and burnt sienna. So this is very nice grayish color, but if I zoom in, I will see that the color changes, because here it's more darker, so less water. Closer to the pot is becoming warmer, because the pot influences on this color. Here also even more darker and more intensive, almost brown, because the pot and the wall influence. And if you look on the color of the shadow close to the leaves, you will see that this gray is a bit greenish. So now you can guess what is a typical mistake when we paint the lace shadow just in one color. It's not just one color, it's main color, and we add colors from the objects around. A bit of green, a bit of pot color, and it makes the plot alive. Also, we can see that the value changes, because here is a value more intensive, a bit darker, here as well, even more intensive than here, and in this place it's lighter. So less water, more water, it's the thing how we are going to pay attention today. So I'm starting with my pencil drawing. Perhaps you have already done it. If not, you can always download it. I will show it here. Yes. So here you can see the plot and what happened when I analyzed the photo. I decided to give more place to the lace shadow. That's why I moved the pot a bit to the right, and I'm not going to paint the whole door because it's very black and it means that it may attract too much attention, but this is my point of interest, right? That's why I'm focusing on my tree, on my lace shadow, and that's why I'm moving everything to the right to have the place for it. So I'm starting So first, what I'm going to do, I will make just a very thin line in the middle. I will remove later on. I will explain why I'm doing that. I'm doing that to find the best place for my pot so that it's not in the middle, because it's usually also a typical mistake to put the object in the middle. Then I'm making also the line of the ground. And now I'm starting with the place, or a bit higher, with the place of my pot. So when I'm starting with ovals, with ellipses, because all these pots are round, but if we see them from a distance, they are becoming oval. I'm making the oval so that this line doesn't come through the oval in the middle. So you see what's happening? My line doesn't come through in the middle. So that's a good place for my pot. I'm making this edge, and then I'm making the pot. Make it a bit higher, more. So what's interesting here, that the oval is here, the ellipse, the oval is also here. But make sure that the line of the ground is higher than the bottom of the pot, because you need this place actually to put the pot, because if it's the same level, then there is no place to put it, because this is a volume, you have volume on this object. So this I can already remove, and I'm checking now in the middle, but it doesn't start exactly here, but a bit higher. I'm going to make the tree. So the tree has some branches. Very small ellipse, yeah, even smaller, I think. Like this. Yeah, not so big. That's also important. Several branches. You can also follow this edge, or you can invent your own edge, but it should be rough. That's important. So no roundish shapes. And now I will start making the illusion of this entrance. Yes, so it starts here, then it's like the round. Also see this middle part. If you paint with me now, please let me know. Drop a message. Perhaps I can make some pauses so that you have more time to follow me. And here is the entrance line. Yeah, so here we have the road, but here is something also there. So that's everything about pencil drawing. Now I'm removing this middle line that I did for purpose, making in general my drawing a bit lighter. And after that I will start watercoloring. Yeah, it's done. As usually I'm wetting the paper from both sides. I'm wetting from back and from front to have more time to paint. And what's interesting that today I'm not going to wet this from front completely, because I will make it in stages. Perhaps this part may seem for you too difficult or too much information. Don't worry, you can make just one sketch with the tree and with the pot. It's also a good idea. So don't worry, and do either everything together with me, or you just wait till I finish this part and then you will start with the tree. For watering I'm using a big paper, a big brush, sorry, big paper. Yes. Usually use a lot of water, because watering from both sides just gives me time to paint. So just two times more time. Again, if you see it rolled, it means that it's not enough water inside the paper. That's why you make more movements. With the help of the brush, the water comes inside the paper. Today it's a painting day for me. In the morning I went for a plein air because it's magnolia blooming time in the Netherlands, and I thought that 2 days more and then the flowers will fade away. So I went to paint magnolia. It was super cool. It was an amazing place. And then the daughter-in-law of the owners of the tree came to me with her kids, and we had very nice conversation because this tree is one of the biggest in the region here, and every year in blooming there come some photographers for the newspaper. So people enjoy the tree also in the newspaper. So we're talking, and I made a present for them, the magnolia painting that I did there. So I'm super happy that the painting that I did will be living in that house, so very close to the initial object that I painted. So you see that it's absolutely flat now. That's why I can add some dirty here. Don't worry. I will first remove water, and now I'm watering a bit around so that the paper sticks to the board, and I'm watering then only the entrance, but around so that the paper just sticks. So it's not that I'm going to paint there. So when it sticks, yes. So only the door. And now I will remove the water around and also press a bit so that my door doesn't bleed into the wall here. So I will remove water here because I don't want that it bleeds there, and also here. I also don't want that it bleeds there. So let's start, and I'm using my Escoda Perla, and I will start with a very light color here. It can be ochre, it can be some napple yellow or napple red. I'm using this napple red, I think. Just covering it with color. Then I'm taking lavender and adding lavender here. If you look attentively, you will see actually lavender color there because there are other shadows. And I will also add this lavender here. Usually the ground influences on the walls from below, and the ground is usually warm. That's why you can use a bit of burnt sienna or lunar earth, so something which is warmer than your initial color. But you remember that it should be very light. So I'm coming very accurate here around. I usually use the napkin to correct if needed. Yeah, I think like this. And now I'm making shadow color out of lavender and burnt sienna or lunar earth, so lavender and some brownish. Very thick color, and I will hold my board on this side so that my shadow doesn't bleed up. And I'm starting not here but a bit lower, you see, because I know that it will bleed. So this is the color I made. It's not the darkest color, I will be using more darker, of course. Some splashes. It will add a bit of this old effect. Clean, dry brush. Yeah. And now I will start with more intensive color and come closer to this line to add this dark. You can use also neutral tint, so something very dark, or mix neutral tint yourself by using cool red, ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. So you see I am using very thick paint. This consistency is cream consistency, so that it doesn't bleed. And I'm holding it on the side. More lavender here. Making diverse black spots is super important actually. This is a very dark place here. So I want a bit to show this place. I will use now granulation medium, so we can leave like this, not a problem. But if you use granulation paint or medium, then you can get some more effects. I think that I will be using either golden brown, this one from Rosa, this is granulation, or also lunar violet. Lunar black perhaps is too dark. So I'm adding very thick again. Not everywhere, but perhaps only here. And you will see now what I'm going to do. I will let the paint bleed. So I'm taking again the color of my yellow part, but making it watery. Holding on this corner, and I'm leaving some rivers. I want that the rivers bleed and create a bit of granulation effect. And meanwhile, I'm adding some details bricks effects. So, very thick paint. To control how thick it is, that there is no water, I'm sometimes checking like this, and I'm making a bit of these bricks. Not super detailed, just first it's better to make as a suggestion without too many details. Like pulling a bit, it's enough to see what is meant. So I would say that this is done. So this part is done. And I can start with my tree. So what is important about the lace shadows and the object? It's easier to start first to paint the shadows and only after that starting painting the object itself, because then there is no need to come under each leaf to make the shadow. It's always easier to come on top with the leaf. That's why I'm making the color for the shadow. It will be lavender together with burnt sienna, and on some places I will add green, the places which are closer here, and more sienna on the places where we have the pot. If we look on the photo, we will see that these shadows are with rough edge, so very hard edges, no soft transitions. That's why I'm checking that my paper is dry, because I don't want, I mean from front, because I don't want that my shadow just bleeds crazy. So now it's moving. So making the color lavender and burnt sienna. And the consistency is not cream consistency that I'm usually using, it's more milk consistency. So this is nice grayish. On some places, again, I will add some green. Please don't use emerald green, because emerald green is super bright. Use more sap green or olive green. These are more natural colors. So the color is done. I'm going to I will remove a bit this. So clean dry brush, I will a bit make it lighter here. Wash. It bleeds too much for me. I will blend now this place and we'll add a bit of darker color from here, from the middle part. Making again the edge. Sometimes it's better to use a flat brush for that, because flat brush doesn't take any water, only pigment. So I will take Lunar Violet or neutral tint, very thick consistency, so you cannot even paint with it, it's super thick. Double press. Just as footsteps. And pull in a bit. So it's not just the line, but a bit. Upper I don't touch because I don't need too much details upper, but here I think like this. I will leave it. So let's come back to the shadows. Yeah. So I'm starting a bit with diagonal movements. Again, typical mistakes is one color, one value, and too many strokes. Because if there is no light, we don't see the shadow. That's important, that big spaces should be there, small spaces should be there. And I'm starting first with my bluish lavender grayish. And again, it's milk consistency. And a lot of water on my brush. Just some small strokes and leaving gaps. So very jumpy movements. It's just one color. Further, I will charge this color with other. So now I'm taking warmer and adding a bit here, just a bit, yes, and a bit of greenish for this part. That's olive green. And with thinner brush I will make the lines. If it's too brownish, let's add a bit again more lavender, but that's important that we have different hues and also values. That's why I'm making thicker paint and we'll add thicker paint close here to the road. It's darker there. Yeah, and with more brownish I can make also here. Also leaving white gaps. That's crucial, super important. And I'm not touching this because it will bleed. So I'm very accurate. I will come later on also on top because I have it here, but for now, no. And also a bit of greenish shadow. So I'm adding a bit of green to that mixture. I'm adding a bit here, but not a lot because then I don't have enough place for my actual leaves. That's why I leave it like this. We can make the road, I think. So the light, I can pull a bit of the water here, it will bleed. That's nice. The same color, I will just make just the illusion that's something there without too many details. And thicker paint for the shadow, because the shadow under is very thick, you see it under the pot. You can also add some splashes because it creates some variety. And it's time to make it dry before I start painting here, because this place needs to be dry. So I will now turn off the sound, otherwise it will be too loud for you, and I will make this dry so then later I can start making the tree. So this place is dry, and I can start already with green leaves. The green leaves are a bit a difficult story, because the typical mistake is that we make it very solid. But if we look attentively, we will see so many gaps between. Yes, this transparency of the tree gives a lot of understanding that air comes through, and it makes the painting realistic. So it's super important to add less than more. And I'm preparing the colors for that. Color number 1 is olive green or light green you have. It can be also green gold, even Cambodge yellow, because it's close to greenish. So olive green. If you use Cambodge, I also have Cambodge. It's also very nice color, but it's just brighter, like this. But it's very close to olive green, right? Separately, I am taking green. It can be sub green or different green, but from realistic greens, not from emerald greens, because emerald green is too bright for green parts. Yes, so this one we don't need. Before I start, I will take again some darker color. A little bit add here darker before it dries. But only color, no water. So I want to separate a bit the wall and the ground. So it's sub green, and separately I mix very thick, because shadows are usually thick. I mix green and indigo to get very dark and intensive shadow and cool shadow. So with with sub and with indigo, so you get very dark and intensive color. So I think is enough. So what I'm now doing, I will use not dry on dry, not wet on wet. I will use a technique I like for this kind of plots. It is called partial watering. So I will pretend that I paint now leaves with color, but I will do it with water. The same brush, it's a bit of jumping brush, the same that I did here. Almost the same strokes, but just with clean water. My is a bit dirty already, but if it's green, it's not a big problem, right? So just I'm pretending that I paint in it, right? But this should be dry, right? That's also important. On some places it's more solid, but further I have big gaps in between. I think like this. And now I'm starting with light color and adding this leaves effects. On some places it comes on wet, that's why it's becoming the soft edge. On some edges it comes on dry, and so we get hard edges. This mix of soft and hard edges creates realistic effect. And leaving a lot of gaps, that's important. I think like this. Now I'm taking number 2, which is normal green, sub-green, and on some places I'm adding just dots of it. Mostly below, because the sun is usually up. This. And the light comes from the right, that's why from the left I have more of this color comparing to this place. Here more olive, here more green. And now I'm taking the darkest, which is mixed with indigo, and on some places, mostly again below, I'm adding this dark. You see this shadow now, very intensive, and more from left side because the sun comes from upper right. When it's two polka dot effect, then we can, on some places, a bit move the paint. And with thin brush, I will create the illusion of branches. Taking the color that I was using for shadows. Very thin. So I'm not making the big one. This is not ready. A bit of splashes, and I think is done for this place. And now I will start with the pot. So for the pot, the light comes from the same side. We can see it here, but also what we can see that there is a bit of dark reflex from this object. We're not going to, I will show you better. So this color comes from this object. So we don't have this object. I think it's some garbage or some, I don't know. That's why this color I'm not going to make, because I removed initially this place. But this is the shadow that I'm going to make. So I'm going to use some bright oranges for this place. It can be quinacridone sienna or burnt sienna. Potentially you can use also orange, but orange is a bit too bright for it. If you don't have it, Yeah, you can mix orange with a complementary color like orange and ultramarine blue. So like this. I will prepare the color. Hope you can see it now. So I will clean the place now. Here. And we'll use quinacridone. I think I don't have it squeezed. This super bright color, it's transparent and it's very nice. Ah, thank you. You see, it's orangish, but it's very nice orange. I will add water to my pot. Be accurate with this place because this place is still wet. That's why I'm leaving 1 or 2 millimeters. I don't wet it there. And now I'm adding my bright color. I pull the color a bit for this part of the pot. And now I will create shadow color. It can be the same color or burnt sienna with a bit of lavender to make it thicker and cooler. This very thick. Yes, shadow is always thick. And I'm adding also here. So here. Under this edge, but I don't touch. I leave several millimeters because I know if I touch too up, it will bleed upper. I don't want that. And a bit of darker color I'm adding here, but not that bright as initially on the photo. So I'm just checking where I have darker lines and just doing them. Here should be much more dark than now, but I cannot do it because it's too wet. If you have any questions, please ask. I will answer with pleasure. So I think that I will start with the tree. It's the same color actually, but very light. It should be lighter than this shadow. That's the same color, so the same shadow, but much lighter. That's why I'm adding water to this color, checking that it's not wet, and with very light color I'm covering my stem. So you see that it's very light. And now I will take very thick neutral tint and will add shadow from the left side. Yes, and it bleeds. There are also some cast shadows from the leaves, but I will add them a bit later because it's too wet now. Effect of the ground there. This. Later on I will add also the cast shadows. So it's still waiting for the pot to dry, making again thick paint. And under I will make the line. Yes, now it's better. Clean dry brush. I will add this light reflex, so I will a bit lift the color. I see it on the photo, I think you too, right? Not completely, but just as an illusion. And with clean dry brush a bit pulling this. If you want to make this lighter, always possible to lift, to wash out. When it's dry, I will add more shadows and details, and here I will now add a bit of this, again, lace shadows, because I have them also on the stem. If you look, you will see. Yes. You know that I love lavender, that's why on some places I'm adding a bit of lavender effects. These are like lavender accents, let's call them. Some very dark lines under the pot. Neutral tint. Just a bit, pulling further. No water. Again, that's important that we don't use water, only very thick pigment. A bit trembling hand here. And I think that I will make this place a bit drier to create more of the shadows and details. Bit wash out to make it lighter. Clean dry brush. So I will make now it dry with a hair dryer. Meanwhile, I will also add a bit of the cast shadows here because they are also on this place. Remember, these are the same colors because they are not cut. They come on top of this architectural element. So a bit down. Think like this, and now with dark lines making shadow. That's neutral tint. And here also there are shadows, you can see it on these parts of the pot. So this is rather sharp edge here, and then with a bit of water I'm just pulling it further, because further there is no hard edge. Further it's becoming more flat. Here a bit of soft edge. Clean dry brush a bit, pulling. a bit of lavender. So it's not just one color. You remember that one color creates a bit of yeah, it's to simplify the color. That's why I'm adding additional colors. The same as we did here in the area. So I would say that it's done. I hope, hello my dear friend, I hope you enjoyed this sketchy Spanish village Guadalest, which is amazing. If you are on this region, don't miss this city, this village. I think it's very small. It's like fortress together with a village. And if you have any questions, always welcome to ask. If you paint this plot, also please free to post it on social media so that I can see your results and other people can see your results and also follow the tutorial. I hope to make this a tradition and that we can meet every Wednesday, so the next one as well. Also choosing something together, what to paint. You can also subscribe to the channel and you can press the bell on my YouTube channel, then you will get the notification when there is a new live stream or a new tutorial is available. So I think that's it. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate all of you who are here supporting the live stream, and I hope that after this class you have more understanding how to paint this lace like shadows. And if you want to paint also with red, you know that you can always find this lesson on my Patreon with green and red flowers like this one. So I'm wishing you good luck. I'm wishing you good luck with painting and also have a nice evening. And see you in a week. I will now turn on this camera. I was sure that you saw me, but you didn't. So wishing you good luck with the painting and have a great evening. In case of questions, you know where to find me, my Instagram or my email, my website. So see you in a week.